200. It is Sunday, May 30th, the day before Memorial Day. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying this 3-day weekend and showing lots of gratitude and remembering why we're doing this day. Remembering and honoring the many, many troops that have preceded us that have fallen. Okay, guys. So what I want to do is get you going. I'm going to be in the next 2 days going to be giving you a how-to recording just like this, but it's going to be how to do your CT1. So be ready for that. I'm planning on making that tomorrow. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch right into the next weekly assignment. Okay. Don't forget, maybe you have a chance to be around your parents. It'd be a great time to start thinking about or your grandparents, the interview paper that's coming up. Okay, guys. All right. So here we are. This is we have these 3 assignments this week. All right. So we're gonna be giving you boom, 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 all 3 recordings all at one time. So you get a chance to look at it. I'm going to guide you into what to do here. This recording right here is going to be going in this slot right here. Okay, so what do we got going on? All right, so we're going to look at why people that study aging think we age, okay? And we're going to translate these key concepts into everyday life, okay? And we're going to translate them into applying your everyday life situation of fertility, reproduction, and balancing your life decisions of school, career versus having children. We're gonna put this all together, okay? All right, so we're going to start with this really cool animation, okay? I'm not going to go through it. You guys are going to watch it. The key concepts in this animation is that dividing cells have a limit in the ability to divide. So we are given all these quote-unquote stem cells, okay? And then they form the next tier of cells that are almost like stem cells in all of our tissue, your vasculature, your kidneys, and your bone marrow, stuff like that. And then they continue to divide, but each cell division is slower. Each one is slower, each one is slower, and you have a limit, okay? And so there's a limit in terms of your ability to your tissue to replace dead cells as you get older, okay? All right. And then we're going to see in this video some really, really old cells. So we have this process. When you have a junky cell, we have this process of basically a suicide pill or a suicide button. It's called apoptosis, and they're supposed to go. Clear them out of the way. Let's put in some new, really cool ones. But sadly, some of them evade this process. Okay. This process of the suicide pill, okay, suicide button is called apoptosis, okay? These other ones, they avoid it and they just become really sickly and really get in the way, okay? Get in the way of having your blood vessels work correctly or your immune system work correctly, okay? So these sickly old cells are called senescent cells, okay? Like I said, they take up space in your organs and tissue, okay? And they make them work less well, okay? All righty. So lastly, like I talked about, we have the ultimate dividing cells from which all of our tissues arise. Those are stem cells, okay? Stem cells undergo cell division, okay? So just like I just raised in that first point, they run out of this ability to divide. So our stem cells, every time they divide to become a not fully committed cell, kind of like a stem cell that still is undergoing cell division, it is basically, it's like a domino that drops, and you only have so many dominoes to drop, and then you're done. Okay. So the classic example of all this, okay, is your bone marrow. Okay. You know, in your bone marrow, you produce your red blood cells, your white blood cells that are immune system cells, and your platelets that you need for clotting. Okay. When we look at our bone marrow, okay, when I'm 80 years of age, which I'm getting closer to that than I was 20, you've lost 80% of your stem cells responsible for making new immune cells, new red blood cells, and new platelets, okay? So you kind of run out, all right? So there's a lot of excitement in the research of how can we reinvigorate them. And all has to do with this little cap that you put on the end of the chromosomes. Not all, partially has to do with this, okay? It's called a telomere, okay? We're going to see how this taps into the theories of aging. So this is the theories of aging. I want you to just kind of read it just for fun. Don't get caught up so much in content. Remember, though, at all times, what are you going to do? You're always going to open your quiz, okay? So if I was you, I would have come down here and boom, I would open my reading quiz, okay? And there it is right there, okay? And then at the same time, of course, I would be opening Blackboard, okay? And just having a separate window for my class, okay? So I can go in there and look into it, okay? So I'm looking right over here, okay? Again, this is my view, so I can make it just like your view, why not? Boom. All right, so this is what you guys get to look at, all right? So it looks just like this, okay? There's our Memorial Day thing, okay? And I'm gonna click right here in the 200 weekly assignments, okay? All right, so I'm gonna come down here. I'm gonna have this open at the same time. So now I have my quiz and I have this open at the same time, all right? Okay, let's get on with this, okay? So I'm gonna click right here, all right? All right, so this is the theories of aging, all right? So it's biological, guys, but you know what? Everybody needs a little biology, all right? So, how do we age, okay? Why do we age, okay? So the concept of why we age is, you know what? It's basically you want to pass on the new, evolutionarily, we just want to pass on the new mixture of genetics to the next generation. Hopefully it's better, more together, okay? It's adapted to the current environment. My genetics were adapted perfectly to when I was born, okay, in 1956, but things have changed, all right? So hopefully you guys are, are a new view of the genetics the way it should be. We're going to learn later on too. However, you can alter your genetics by what you eat and stuff like that too. Your existing genetics. Okay, that's a whole different story, right? So we scroll down here, okay, and why would we want to alter the course of aging? Well, think about everything we talked about in the previous chapters, okay? What we are having to deal with in terms of society and healthcare and economics are these chronic diseases of aging, okay? They're not communicable. They take a really long time, okay, over your life course. And they're not really very reversible either, okay? What is the biggest risk factor for diabetes? What's the biggest risk factor for cancer? Heart disease, stroke? What's the biggest risk factor? The biggest risk factor for all these is age. So if we can get in there and figure out a way to modify some of the courses of aging, then maybe we will reduce the extended period of time that people spend having these non-communicable chronic diseases like I was just talking about. Maybe you can just like cruise along and then things run out and poof, you're gone. Something like that. All right, cool. So yeah, so when we look at it, okay, the most important thing that has been shown scientifically is you just kind of restrict what you're taking in, calories out. You restrict the calories coming in, you're going to be doing better. Okay, why? Okay, it slows down when there's nothing but food everywhere. Your body is in go 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 mode. Okay, cell division. Who cares? We'll just make more cells. If my cells are all screwed up, that the origin comes from, all right, my stem cells, okay, that I'm dividing from, who cares, all right? Whereas when you have limited nutrition, it costs a lot. It costs a lot to make new cells. So I don't have enough nutrition around, all the building blocks of amino acids to make proteins and fats to make new cell membranes. I don't have enough around, so what I'll do is I'm going to do a more cost-effective program. That cost-effective program is to protect what has already been built. All right. So we're going to just activate a few enzymes here and there that's going to go in there and repair all the damage to my DNA that maybe I've been accumulating, repair damage to some of my organelles that are spitting out mitochondria. Sounds like a good deal. So that way, when food comes around, the guys that are going to be dividing are going to be like brand new Porsches. Okay, so that's how that works. And so this is part of the new big rage. Okay, where people are doing intermittent fasting. There's this science behind it that you fast for a little while, so that way you repair all the damage, and then you eat. And so when you make new cells, they're the Porsches. Okay, so that's how that works. All right, so that's what this calorie restriction is all along. Now, when you have unlimited nutrition, what happens is you push out these growth genes, okay? insulin and insulin-like growth factor, okay? And they push out and they push out and they push out, okay? What else happens, okay? And those are all about cell division, okay? When you have unlimited nutrition, okay, and you get into a situation where you have, really, really high levels of blood glucose, okay? You're just doing too much Krispy Kreme all the time, okay? What happens is it's inflammatory, all right? Sugar can be toxic and cause inflammation, and these inflammatory immune system messengers then cause your muscle cells and your fat cells become less responsive to insulin, okay? That means the sugar is going to collect, and the sugar forms these things that they're showing right here, all right, called advanced glycation end products. This is glycation is glycosylation, sorry, is basically sugar coating a protein. And when a protein gets sugar coated, one, it doesn't work right. Two, the immune system says, what is that? And flips out. Okay, so now you've got a couple of problems. Okay, and so you have this chronic inflammation that underlies every single chronic disease that we talked about in this class. All right, so the best thing you can do, guys, is limit your nutrition. So that's what this is all about. And they talk about, studying this, and like, Sean Curran in our group looks at, aging and modifying the environment and looking at the environment gene interaction. And this little worm it only lives for about a day, but that way aging is accelerated. Okay, so it lasts for a couple of days. But anyways, cool. All right, so that's what that's all about. Okay, and so this cross-linking is in part this concept of glycation. Your elastins and collagens get candy coated at your skin, okay, your arteries, and so that way your blood pressure goes like that. Okay, all right. Here's another concept, okay, and it's kind of tied into kind of evolution a little bit, okay, but that is what's good for you now comes back to bite you in the behind later, okay? So something that is good for growth, okay, so you need to get big and strong to become reproductive. So let's go back to the guys I was talking about over here, okay? So when we look at, insulin and IGF-1, okay, we want a lot of that when we're a kid because we want to become an adult and become the master reproducer, okay? It's all good. However, okay, as you're an adult, if you don't limit your nutrition, okay, like we talked about here, okay, in terms of the concept of aging, and go scroll right back here, where we're limiting our nutrition, calories in, calories out. If you don't limit your nutrition, then this IGF-1 and IGF come back to get you. And that's what this, in a classic example of an antagonistic pleiotrophy is, okay? Here's another one. How about, to survive, you need to release stress hormones so that a lion doesn't catch you and eat you. Perfect, okay? Those same stress hormones, if you secrete them chronically over your life because you're worried about, oh my God, what am I going to do when I graduate from USC? How am I going to have a career and buy the house? And good to get you away from the line, bad to tap into that all the time. So that's this antagonistic pleiotropy, okay? All right, how about our mitochondria, okay? So with the mitochondria, and this kind of gets down in here, the whole thing with the mitochondria is those are our powerhouses, and if they don't get replaced, like I said, and the only way you're going to replace those puppies is if you take a little break on food. If you don't get replaced, they become like really crappy old cars spewing out these free radicals that really screw things up, okay? All right, so that's kind of just a flavor. This is the neuroendocrine theory again, going back into like too much food, right? The only way to get away from this is to limit your calories, okay? This is the rate of living. This is the mitochondrial thing, okay? The more mitochondria are grinding away and they're not fixed, the less efficient they become and they spew out free radicals, all right? Awesome. And then lastly, right here, this is the Hayflick limit. This is the cell division thing, okay? And a big part of the cell division has to do with these caps put on the end of your chromosomes, okay? Our stem cells have an enzyme called the telomerase. So that keeps the cap intact. But most cells, when they get older, the telomerase doesn't work as well. Some cells will lose their telomerase, and then with each cell division, the cap gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Suddenly, when it's gone, no more cell division. And every time it gets smaller, that cap is supposed to protect your chromosomes. And the smaller it gets, the more damage that happens to your chromosomes, which is not a good thing, right? All right, so this is, again, this kind of a figure that shows you, when you're a scientist, you hone in on this one concept, and then there's a scientist across the street that's looking at the same thing, but his perceptual view is a little different. And you see that basically what this is supposed to mean is that there's a lot of overlap, okay? Mutations, okay? Waste accumulation, because your cells have gone south. Free radicals, that causes mutation, causes waste accumulation, insulin resistance, on and on and on. All these are all together. Okay, and there's lots of overlap. All right, cool. So let's get in here now, and I want you to check out the discussion on reproduction as it applies to this theory on aging. Okay, basically, with the theory of aging, we'd like you to really think about which one makes sense. Maybe all of them, maybe none of them. Okay, you think about that. Okay. All right. When we look at reproduction, okay, reproductive aging is closely tied to a lot we talked about. You can have free radical damage to your DNA and your sperm and your eggs. Okay, it is what it is. Okay, so a lot of your life choices are going to fall into that. If you eat really poor food, you get more free radical damage to your eggs and to your sperm. Okay, the other thing that happens is those caps on the end I was talking about, they get smaller and smaller, and then there's less protection. Why do they get smaller? With age, they get smaller and smaller. So I just kind of threw in a figure here. I'm going to kind of blow it up a little bit. Okay. All right. Then we're going to scroll down here. So we see right here, this is from your conception, the day you're born right here. I'm looking at here the length of the telomere cap right here. All right, so the caps get nice and long, okay? And then what happens? You get born and they fall apart as you get older. As we age, the telomeres shorten, which equates to less protection for your chromosomes. Kind of sucks, okay? Kind of sucks, all right? Now, with that in mind, then, let's take a look at what goes on, okay? So, again, this reproduction topic affects both women and men. Both of our reproductive cells undergo decline as you get older, okay? We're pretty familiar with this kind of fertility with age thing as it affects women, but men are, 50% in there, guys. We have serious issues as well, okay? You'll see at the bottom, for example, the older our sperm, guess what? Those telomeres get shorter, less protection. You get little dings and chunks taken out of the DNA, little mutations, little differences. Okay, and because your old sperm is older, you have a greater likelihood of Down syndrome, bipolar disease, autism, because of you. Okay, not because of the women. Okay, because the father is now over 40 years of age. All right. What are we up against, guys? And this is something I want you to think about, okay? Realistically, all of you by age 21, you know what your biology says? It says that you should already have 2 to 3 children. That's what we're designed for. You guys are reproductive machines right now, okay? But what do? We saw in the previous chapters, okay, that generational relationships are changing, okay? The kind of incubation period that we have as humans to become full-blown competitive adults economically means that we have to be in training for a lot longer period of time. Okay, so you guys are all in college, you're like, I'm not gonna have children right now, maybe when I'm 30. Well, guess what happens? That ship has then begun to sail in terms of being fertile, both in terms of sperm and in terms of your eggs. Okay, all righty. So with respect to this, then go down to this website and check it out, okay? So this right here gives you kind of a hint on what to do, okay? And then we want you then to consider what happens when you undergo fertility treatment, all right? Some of the drugs make you a super ovulator, okay? It's all by messing with the kind of relationship that exists between your ovaries and your brain, Okay, your brain is constantly timing this monthly ovulation, and it pumps out a special hormone called follicle stimulating hormone. And you're supposed to have one, maybe two of the follicles go through. So maybe you'll have twins, okay? All right, but we can mess with that in terms of it being a doctor who specializes in reproductive medicine, and we can make you produce on your own a ton of this follicle stimulating hormone, or we can just inject you with it. And lo and behold, instead of having one or two follicles go through maturation, you can have 10. You can become the octomom, okay? All right, so that's kind of the whole concept of fertility issues. So this goes into the fertility meds here, okay? These are two videos about in vitro fertilization. And sometimes, no matter what you do, it's not going to work because there's so many steps that have to be perfect for the fertilization to occur, and then that fertilized egg to embed in the walls of the uterus for the endometrium to grow, the nest. Everything has to go perfectly, okay? And it's an interaction between the now developing embryo and the mom's womb. So there's a lot of steps, okay? So if those first steps don't work, then guess what? You're going into possibly in vitro fertilization. So I want you to check these two out. Really beautifully done, because these are seriously maybe an option that you guys are going to have to consider, okay? All right, very cool. So you can either, I just doubled up. You can click here or here to go to the website that we want you to take a look at, and it shows some curiosity, okay? So we see right here, we click right there, and lo and behold, what was I telling you guys? So you guys are prime time right now, okay? And then you see how quickly the fertility rate drops, all right? So go ahead and kind of look through this, a little bit of verbiage that explains why, okay? You click here, and then we can, look at the tests that are going to look at the quality of your eggs and also how responsive your ovaries are, okay? And you do this with specialized injections, okay? This is that follicle stimulating hormone right here. We're going to look at how well the ovaries respond. So this is how we test for egg production and egg quality, okay? Right here, okay? Again, this is that follicle stimulating hormone right here, and we can see that as a function of age, okay? We see that this brain to ovary interaction, it's changing, okay? It's changing. You can see as a function of age, the level of his FSH is going down, going from 35 to 45 years plus, okay? We can see that there is a direct relationship between live births and the level of the FSH, okay? So check out each of these links, especially if you ever think you're going to have kids. It explains everything in pretty good detail. There's some videos right here that you can look. Clomiphene is another drug that is used, okay, to make you a super ovulator, produce a lot of eggs, okay. Same drill, okay. You're messing with the interaction between the ovaries and the brain. Guys, don't think you're not going to be involved in this, because you are, okay. All right. So how am I going to end this? Oh, I didn't go far enough down. This is just that reminder that I was telling you about. This is a pretty cool figure right here. This is the actual paper. All right, so what do we see here? This is daddy's age on the bottom axis, daddy's age. And then we see here there's statistical reference, okay, on this. So it says baseline, adjusted, and fixed effects, okay? The best way is you're adjusting for variation in the population. Look at the fixed effects, and look at right here, okay? Look at the triangles, guys, as a function of your sperm's age in terms of whether or not your kid's gonna have autism, ADHD, psychosis, bipolar disease, be suicidal, be likely to have substance abuse, failing grades, on and on and on, okay? So yeah, it's on you too. That's the bottom line there, all right, guys? All right, cool. Now, discuss your thoughts and emotions about this thing, this reproduction, reproductive aging, how it's related to biology of aging, and then also how it is really tuned in sociologically to some of the pressures being put on you of deciding career versus having children. All right, it's a lot to take in, guys, but I know you can handle it. All right, I will do another one of these soon for looking at diabetes and heart disease, but Julie's going to step in for the next video, and she's going to be talking about cancer. Okay, all right. Peace, guys, and take care.